Hey guys, happy Sunday. Gonna make sure everyone gets in here quickly before we start this session. This is just a trader talk session, Sunday evening. We're gonna go over our watch list today. I want to go over some of the watch list names that I have. Just give me a second. I'm gonna go ahead and share this with a few of our groups. So let me see how I can do that. Hope everyone's feeling good today. There we go. I'm going to put this in chat for everyone, or for anyone who wants to join. Guys, this is a casual session. We're just going to go over some charts, go over the watch list, key levels that we see. I'm going to share this into a couple of chats, and we'll get started. And let me get up the chat as well. Hey, Natty. I appreciate you joining. Thanks, Natty. Happy Sunday. We're going to go over some charts today. How does it sound, Natty? Does it sound okay? Or do I sound all wonky? I think I'm stuffed up from allergies, but just want to make sure that the mic is sounding okay. I'm ready to trade. I'm itching to trade, Natty. I'm ready to go. Appreciate it, Nathan. Appreciate you joining. Thanks, Natty. Hope you guys are having a great weekend. Just going to share this into Benzinga as well. Let me go ahead and do that. And then we will get started. I'll pull up the watch list here in a second. All right, so we are going to get started here. We're going to go over our watch list. We've got a watch list I'm going to pull up here in just a second. We're going to go over some charts. Casual session, guys. I'm more than happy to go over some charts. So if you want to throw some charts in the chat, if you guys have any questions, you have anything you want to go over, we can do that together. Hey, Benny. Benny, thanks for joining. Nathan, Natty. So I'm just going to have, again, casual session. I'm going to pull over our watch list and see what we have on that watch list this week. And we'll go over some key levels as well together. So I'm going to pull over the Discord here for just a second. We've got some early bird watchers this coming Monday. OUST, GNS, and TSAT. So we're going to focus on these to start our session. We'll go over our key levels and see what we have on the chart. So I'm going to first pull up one of these. And we've got scans as well in the background that I'll go over. These were our scans from the post-market on Friday. So this is what we saw towards the end of post-market. We didn't have a whole lot moving that I know of in the aftermarket. So if you guys know of anything that was really moving in the post-market or aftermarket on Friday, let me know in the chat because there wasn't a whole lot on the scans that was really standing out other than the, of course, continuation names that we already know about. So I'm going to pull up OUST on the chart. And you guys will see the levels that I have in just a moment. I'm just going to mark this. So you guys hang tight. And if you have any questions, throw them in chat. So I'm going to mark levels of interest. So what I look for myself is support and resistance when I'm trading. Pretty classic, right? Classic support and resistance. But what I'm looking for, of course, I have a strict strategy. It's a confirmation strategy, which we have a strategy guide available for this. But what it is we're looking for it to close over one of our resistance levels. So as I mark this chart on OUST, and it takes me about 1 to 5 minutes to mark each chart. And every morning as stocks hit our scanners, that's basically what I'm doing. I'm looking for areas of interest. I'm looking for resistance levels because those resistance levels are going to provide myself a possible entry if we close above those levels. So we'll go over the chart here in just a second. And I'm gonna go over OUST. Let me see. OUST. So what you guys been doing this weekend? I've had myself a nice weekend. Went fishing this morning with my my sons and my dad, so their grandfather. So that was really cool. But let me know what you guys been doing this weekend. Very nice, relaxing weekend. Ready to trade though. I'm ready to trade. very, very much so. So I've got levels here on OUST, right? So we've got OUST here. Let me turn off the indicator as well. So the indicator is, let me see, turn those off, makes it a little bit easier to see. All right. So I've got a 1 minute chart here, guys. I trade the 1 minute chart. I look for high volume 1 minute moves. I look for it to, again, close above one of these levels to then hold that level and continue its way up. So OUST is from our watch list, right? We've got it on our watch list here. If we come over here, we can see that OUST is on that watch list for the early bird crew. And the reason for it is it was gapping up in the pre-market a little bit, but not a whole lot of volume there. This gray area is that pre-market. So if I zoom in just like that, you'll see just a whole bunch of little specks of volume. And if I hover over each one of these candles, we're talking like 100, 200 shares per candle. So no liquidity to trade in the pre-market. But for anyone who was in this one early or was trading this one throughout the day, you can see it made a really strong move. So if I measure this move with the measuring tool here, turn off the magnet, it made about a 24% move from here 9:30 in the morning all the way to about 10:30, 10:45. So within an hour, it made a 25% move. So that's pretty impressive. We can see that it had really low volume doing so. So if I scroll in here and look at some of these candles, and you guys will see on TradingView, of course, at the top, you can see the volume here. So as I hover over each candle, you'll see the volume. Very little volume on this move on OUST. And so if we pull over Benzinga and we look for the news on it, right? So we pull OUST and hit enter. And what we can find is the most recent news on this one. We can see that it had earnings and had some news about its guidance as well. And it has a new price target here. So, you know, a lot of traders will get excited about that. And that was on the 13th. And today is the 13th. So a lot of this news was out today. And there was news on Friday of last week's session as well, which was the earnings, the actual earnings. So they did well. Apparently, you know, the market likes what's going on here, but not enough to really throw a whole lot of volume into this name, right? So it's an earnings play or earnings trade. So, you know, it's definitely one to watch, but I would prefer higher volume. Now, what I do like about it, if you come on down to the right-hand side down here, shares float, the float size is showing about a 20 million share float. So that's a pretty low float. You know, it's not the lowest of the floats that we've seen, but it is low float. Anything under 25 million share float is what I prefer to trade myself. And I'm a low float trader. But some stocks will be a greater size float than that. And I will trade any stock up to 150 million share float. Once we get above 150 million shares in the float, it's a little out of my wheelhouse, and I'm not as accurate with my trading. So I'm going to stick to what what works for me. So OUST, I've got levels here. We've got resistance on this one. So the fact that we've already entered into this gap on OUST, right? And we've hit a high of $6.80. I can see that over here, 680, which was the high of this candle. So if I zoom in and look at that, you can see that is the high of that candle, 680. So the fact that we've come into this gap means that, you know, really it would have to close now over 660. Let me make sure these levels are correct. Yes, $6.60. 650, of course, needs to hold. And we want to see it hold and stay above that 660. The problem is it has very little volume. And so therefore for myself, you know, no volume, no trade. That's the number one personal rule for myself. The other concern that I have here is we have some levels above, which again, these are resistance levels. So the purple dotted line on my chart is going to represent a smaller time frame resistance and therefore may hold less weight than the white solid lines that I have. So in other words, you know, the purple lines do hold weight, but I want to trade more so around the white solid lines instead of those purple dotted lines. And the reason for it is, again, they hold more weight and therefore they will give better results. Now, that doesn't mean I won't take trades off of these purple dotted levels or areas. It just means I want to be aware of that. And so that's how I differentiate those lines and those levels. So this is a cluster of resistance. So if I take this box over here, if I can find it, this is a cluster of resistance and something we want to be aware of when we're trading. And TradingView move things around, so I'm Still trying to find it. Is this it? There we go. All right. So we've got a cluster of resistance here. So if I label that, that is a cluster of resistance. What that means is that there's multiple resistance levels above the current price action, and they're pretty close together. And because they're so close together, what that tells me is I start to expect some choppy price action, right? As a day trader, I may not want to be as aggressive when I see this type of setup or this type of resistance above, right? So maybe I want to wait for it to close over the 739. But I also want to keep in mind that if we close over 739, we'll have that 750 $0.50 level. So I'm very much aware myself, but if you're not aware of these half and whole dollar levels, make sure you're marking those on your charts to really make sure that you are aware of them. If you slip up and you forget that 750 is here and you see it reject that level, you'll be scratching your head and saying, you know, Bob, you told me 739 was the level. What's going on here? Well, what's happening is there is a $0.50 resistance, and it's a mental resistance, a mental level, right? So it holds weight in the idea that a lot of traders are just looking to sell $7, $7.50, $8, $8.50, right? So half and whole dollar hold weight when it comes to support and resistance, more so resistance than support, in my opinion. But that could be that could vary, of course, if it's the whole dollar opposed to the $0.50. But regardless, 739, that's our key level, right? Close over that level. We're looking this as pretty bullish. It needs to then hold that level. Close back below this level is bearish. So OUST, it's on the watch list. We've got levels here, 697 and 690. Those are the first two levels. So if I'm looking to be a little bit more, I guess, risky with my trading, right? I'm okay with a little bit higher risk type of setup and situation here. Well, then maybe I'd be watching around 690, 697, and $7 on OUST, looking for a clean close over those levels to then hold as support. If it closes back below those levels, and again, I'm using a 1-minute chart. I'll move this out of the way. You can see OUST on a 1-minute chart. That's that one there. So if I'm trading on a 1-minute chart and it closes over 697 and $7, and again, $7 is that whole dollar level. So maybe I want to wait for a clean close over 690, 697, and 7 before I start to add into my position. And of course, I'm looking at these levels above to possibly scale out as they may hold resistance weight, right? Weight as resistance. So OUST, 690 would be the early and higher risk entry. 697 would also be high risk, but it is a solid level, meaning it holds more weight as a resistance and then should hold more weight in theory as a support level. So $7, right around that area, that's our valuable area. If OUST can get that volume that it's been lacking last Friday in the market session, then we can trade OUST. If the volume is lacking, then of course there's going to be a major concern, and we may not want to be overly aggressive on that type of setup, right? So if we start to really get moving and cooking in the right direction, we've got 697, $7 mental, right? Whole dollar, 715, 729, 739, 750, $0.50 mental level. Again, if you're not used to these levels, make sure you're marking them. 761, 795, $8 mental, and of course, 830. So this is a pretty lucrative looking gap up here, and it gets a little bit less congested, right? So that cluster of resistance starts to open up a little bit. But that being said, if we take this measuring tool and we measure these gaps, we're talking a 2.5% gap if we can get that gap filled. This gap here is a 4% gap, right? And that's if you're, of course, scalping in between these levels. If you're looking for a bigger move, well, then maybe you're looking to hold between from white level or a greater time frame level to a greater time frame level. So maybe you're looking at wider time frames. Maybe you're looking at the 4-hour, the daily, weekly, monthly, whatever you choose. Maybe you're watching those for a bigger move. But if you're scalping in between these levels, you want to be aware of these resistance levels. And oftentimes I'm looking to get in and out of my trade within usually 5 minutes or less. And if I'm in any longer than that, typically it's going in the right direction and we're holding a lotto for continuation. So you can always scale out into these levels, hold a lotto, and look for that continuation move. So that is OUST. So what else do we have on the watch list here? We've got GNS. We've got GNS on the watch list. We have this one already marked, I believe. Let me just verify that we've got it right. So we had a pretty nice week last week. Let me delete a few of these levels as it looks like a mess right now. So I'm going to delete some of these levels. Yes, I want to delete the level. Yes, I want to delete the level. Yes, we are good to go. Give me 1 second. All right, we got rid of some of those levels. Let's switch over to the daily. Let's get rid of some of these. I think this one can go now. I don't think it's going to hold as much weight. So, you know, I'm not looking for the support type of bounce play myself. I'm looking for bullish momentum. So I'm looking for levels that needs to, you know, get up above to really tell me that it's bullish. So GNS, same thing, guys, had a really strong move. This is the pre-market session on Friday. And it gapped up, fell down, and then returned back to its highs and continued up further. Which this one was from our continuation scan as well, because it was moving in the session before. So it was gapping up in this session before. This now is continuation. So we're looking for a continuative type of move from here and going up into these resistance levels, 121, 122, 129. So we've already hit these levels. So here is the concern. If I zoom in on GNS, what you'll see is that we have hit these levels above, right? So we have a smaller time frame level, 140. This purple dotted line is holding weight as resistance. We also know that we have that 150 level, which is the $0.50, 152 major weighted level, and 165. So really, when we look at this chart here, we can easily see that this gap from 152 to 165 is the cleanest and maybe the least congested of the gaps, right? So if I measure that gap from here to here, we're looking at about 8%. If I move this out of the way, 8% on that gap, 13 cents. So it's nothing crazy, right? And personally, I'm not big on these cheapos, but that being said, it does not mean that they're not tradable. It just means that I will reduce my size as I'm not as accurate trading stocks under $2. I do prefer stocks over 2, but that's more of a personal rule for myself. But if we look at this chart here, 8% in this gap. Now, that doesn't mean that that's the gap to trade. The thing is that it has to close over the 140 if it's going to get up to that level of 152. So with that in mind, what that's telling us is that a close above 140, technically speaking, is the true confirmation that we're looking for. Now, we have to assess this, understand that this is a smaller time frame level. We've already gapped up there. We did not close over. So this is a false breakout. If I zoom in over here, this here is a false breakout, right? We did not break over this level. As we can see, we did not close over that level. And that's what we're looking for, a 1 minute close over the 140 level. So we can set our alerts just below the 140 level to be notified as it's approaching that price. So that way we can really adjust our approach and understand, do we want to take a large size? Do we want to take a smaller size? Do we want to even take the trade at all? Does it really fit our strategy at that time, or do we want to avoid it and look for a higher quality setup? But that being said, 140 is the level. Now, if we look above and we're looking for, you know, possibilities here, and we scroll up, and again, we're looking to get from white level to white level, right? Which is a greater time frame to a greater time frame. If we're looking to hold our lottery or lotto pick after we sell a bulk of our position and hold a lotto for continuation, then we can always do so and look for this type of move here, 165 to 260. Now, just because we have this gap does not mean it's going to fill, but that's a 55% gap. If it fills, it's worth taking a smaller size lotto just for the 55% type of move. You know, if you put $100 on this, you're talking $50. You know, $50 on a move like this, yeah, I know that's not a lot of money, but to some that is. And $50 and 50% is still 50%. So it really depends on your size. But we can't trade great size unless we have great volume. So we have to analyze the volume as well. So if we zoom out here, I want to look at this move that it made, GNS up through these levels. And I want to go through the volume here at the top as I scroll over these candles to really see, did it have that volume that we typically look for? And we can see 169,000, 343,000, 500,000, 800,000. So yes. This, even though it has a cheaper price, it does have that liquidity. It did have that volume to push that needle and that price up and down, which is going to give us that volatility that we look for as day traders. So GNS is definitely going to be one that's in play, right? So we want to see it close over 152. Yes, that is the cleanest gap above. So if I'm going to be a gap trader and look for the higher probability gap, maybe the 152 level is where I'd be a little bit more aggressive. But that being said, the true confirmation level is 140, as we have not closed over that level yet. But if we close over 140, the target would be at 150 or just below. So we're looking at a 6% trade, scale out of our position, and then hold a lotto for continuation, or we could always sell the full position and continue trading confirmation all the way up, as a close above each level is bullish, and that's where we could make our entry. Now, the only problem with that is sometimes, and you guys I'm sure know about this as well, sometimes the stock will completely gap from one level to the next in a single candle, in which case it's going to be too fast to trade. And if you already sold your full position, you didn't hold that lotto, well, you may be kicking yourself in the butt once it halts up another 50% without you. So that's one way we can kind of avoid that type of mess, is just sell into profit targets, take some profit, hold a lotto, and look for continuation. And every level we close over is telling us a story and telling us that it's now bullish and needs to hold that level. Now, if we're looking for a larger gap, we can see white level to white level, larger gap there, 165 all the way to 260. But we have to keep in mind half and whole dollar in between. And of course, these purple levels, which are going to be smaller time frame levels as well. So GNS is definitely one to watch. As we can see, if we scroll up, we've got 260, 269. Again, a nice clean gap here from 274 to $3. Then 307, 321, clean gap all the way up to 350 and 355. So we've got levels on this one going all the way up to $5, $6. And if we get up to $5, $6, guys, we're talking, a 500% move or greater. So if we get up there, we've got the levels ready. But what we're looking for is continuation on this, as these levels here have already confirmed. So I wouldn't want to be overly aggressive here, guys. I wouldn't want to take my full size and throw the kitchen sink at a close over 122 or 129. These would be extreme high risk. And why is that? Because we've already filled the gap over here, right? So if I circle out this area here, you can see we've already filled the gap. So a close over this level is not bullish. So let me make that easy to see here. So close over this level is not bullish. Close over this level is not bullish. And this is looking for a true confirmation. If we're looking for a true confirmation, then what we are looking for is this one here. So I'll change this to green. You guys can see this is the section we're looking for, right? So not bullish, not bullish, not bullish, bullish, right? But it's not the type of gap that, again, I want to throw the kitchen sink at. And if we know that, because why? Because if we measure this move, we can see that this gap to here is 6%, and it is a smaller time frame level with the 150 half dollar ahead. So we may run into some resistance and bumpy price action up here. So GNS is definitely one we want to watch and keep on a good eye on for that volume. We want to see that volume. I'll save this chart, and I'll add all these charts into Discord as well. Next, we've got TSAT. Let me see if I have this one up. I do. So TSAT. Let me just verify that we have the correct levels. I'm going to delete some of these levels. As you can see, we've already gapped up, so it's a pretty strong move that this TSAT made last week. So if I come in here and just delete these, I'm just clicking on them and hitting delete. So just bear with me. And I see some tickers in chat, guys. I'm going to go over these in a minute. I appreciate that. Thank you, Benny. And guys, feel free. If anyone's tuning in, this is just a casual session. Nothing crazy. Going over our watch list, going over some key levels, and really just want to keep it casual. Don't want to be taking up your time or wasting your time at all. So TSAT, same idea. Let me get this big old arrow out of here. So this was one of the levels it confirmed. So we had this one marked down. So TSAT, very interesting, right? Gapped up. What we can see here, if I zoom in, this is the peak of that move. So again, if we're going back to GNS and what we were just speaking about, You know, the issue here is that we've gapped up, hit this target area or this resistance, and have now filled that. We filled that gap. So that means the probability of this gap filling again is less likely. So technically speaking, if we're looking for a good level to trade, we're looking for a close over this level. And let me put a price label on that as well. So we're looking for a close over this 641 level, right? So 641 is our key level, but as we can see here, we have now a cluster of resistance. So if I do this up here, you can see that this is a cluster of resistance, right? We have a whole bunch of levels all clustered together just above our current price action. Now we have to get all the way up to 1641 to give us a true confirmation, right? And until we get up to that level, this is not bullish momentum. This is going to be very choppy. And the reason this is choppy, so everyone is understanding where I'm coming from here, is the reason these levels and these levels are now choppy is because over here created those new bags. So we filled the gaps and we've created new bags. And these bags are just holding and waiting and saying, you know what, I'm going to be right. I'm going to be right. It's going to curl back up and I'm going to get out of my position for a nice green trade. Well, what happens is everyone starts taking profit wherever they see fit, and it becomes a choppy area to trade. And so this is now a cluster of resistance that's already been tested. So a lot of red flags there. So what we're looking for is it to get above these levels. So we can set alerts, of course, but to watch. But if I wanted to take a riskier type of trade, a risk it for the biscuit, as we call it in Discord, then we're looking for a close over 1333, 1350 half dollar, 1373, 1390, 1396, and 14 and 1421 to continue its trend up to 1519 and above that. But if we're looking for bullish momentum, then we're looking for a close over 1641, but we'll keep in mind that it has a cluster of resistance up here, so it could get choppy. It has a 12 million share float according to TradingView here. And we can see if we're looking at bigger picture moves and it can get above this white line here and get to the next, we're looking at a 22% type of gap. So, you know, it may give that type of trade, it may give that type of opportunity, but my concerns here are that we did have this gap up in the pre-market. We did not get near that level. So my concerns are once we start to gap into these levels, I fear that we're going to be seeing some sellers here trying to get out of their position. And I fear that that's going to, again, create that choppy price action. So what that tells me is I may want to sit back and either trade with a less aggressive size or look for something a little bit higher quality elsewhere. Now, that's not to say that this isn't going to go up to, you know, 15, 20, 25, 30, you know, $50. I can't really predict that. All I can do is set alerts at these key levels, look for a clean close over that resistance level to tell me that it's bullish, and then trade it from there. So that's, again, why I set my alerts below the level. That way I'm not in or looking at these charts late. So that is TSAT. Those are our early bird watch names. And we've got some scanners here, guys. We've got some scanners here that we have in the post market. We've got some 52-week low floaters here, KWE, CNAT, a couple of these to possibly look at as well. So I'm going to go ahead and mark one of these. What do we have here, Benny? Let me see. Nice. Pool with the friends, very nice. Yeah, I went fishing today, Benny, with my two sons and my dad. It was nice, very nice. Yes, Benny, I will put all of these charts I will put into our Discord Mark Charts channel as well. Let me see which one do you want me to mark there, Benny? You've got a handful of them here. Which one do you want me to mark first? We've got GDTC, LAES, NFTG. Now, if we look at our volume list, this is our volume up from open. So you can see these stocks were all up from the open. And you can see that we've got APYX, GNS, GRPN, so that they opened up and closed above their open. So that's a pretty bullish signal there. On the right-hand side, it's the opposite. These ones changed below the open. So they opened up and closed below, but they did have high volume to be watched as well. So NOTV, a couple of those. Chris, you got it, Beasley. VCIG. Let me pull that one up. Hang on. VCIG. Let's see what we have here. Nice move in the post market on this one. I didn't see that myself. So VCIG looks like it made a nice move in the post market. Did it on very little volume that I'm seeing here. So this one is a recent gapper. I think we went over this one in the last video, but I'm not sure. I'm gonna mark it now. It takes, again, 1 to 5 minutes at most to mark these charts, guys. It's well worth the effort. I'm telling you. It's you know, if you are unaware of where the resistance comes in, and you know, you can ask you know, these members that have been in our chat for a long time, been in Discord for a while. These levels hold weight. Why that is sometimes baffling, but it's just the way it is. These levels will hold weight, so you will see resistance, you will see support in these levels. Some are going to be stronger than others depending on the conditions, of course, so they will make a huge difference. All right, I've got levels coming out here in just a second. Hope you guys are enjoying your Sunday. It's nice here. We've got 92 degrees here. Nice sunny day. Went fishing nice and early. Went and visited with some family. Spending time with my wife and kids. Man, it's this very nice day. Very nice weekend. All right, let's see. We've got levels here on VCIG. VCIG levels are out. Let's see what we have. Let me save this. All right. So this is what I'm looking at. You got it, Benny. I'll go over that one next. GDTC. I'll go over that one next. Now, I don't hold these overnight, Benny. I don't. This is just me personally, of course. But personally, I've gotten burned too many times, so I don't hold low floats overnight. I typically just trade the price action as I see it in the morning. So VCIG, Chris, this is what I'm seeing here. We've got key levels, right? If I zoom out a little bit, you can see that we've got recent bags, which is a concern. So these recent bags, what they do again are they're going to create choppy price action. We need to get above these levels. You can see as I scroll this chart down, you can see all the major levels that I have. A very congested chart. I'll tell you, if it gets above $8, it can really start to open up. So that is definitely somewhere I'd like to set an alert. Just right click, set the alert there, add an alert, and want to be notified about that. Now, we get up there, man, we are already cooking. So if we're looking for a, if I look for a higher risk type of entry, then I'm looking for around probably $4, Chris. So 418, 438, 450 mental $half level. Keep that in mind. 462, 476, of course, $5 being the next level. So some of these gaps are very small and therefore may be a little aggressive to be scalping. But if you're trading for longer periods of time, you may find that you're going to get your nice moves in between these white levels. So 18% there. Let's see, 8% there from 476 to the 518. Let's measure the next gap. This looks like a nice gap here. Yeah, 25% on this gap here. So from 518 to 652, that's a nice gap. I'm not sure it's going to provide that type of move. Of course, we have the $6 level. It's going to hold a lot of weight as well. We've got 550 down here. So we've got a $half, a whole dollar. So it's gonna be aggressive trading in here, but 24%. It really depends on your risk tolerance and your size, and really, you know, the conditions leading into this. If we start to see that it's just gapping up nonstop into it, it wouldn't mean that it's not going to continue, but it would mean that the probability is less likely. So I'm just trying to, you know, put the odds in our favor as much as possible. So VCIG, again, if it gets over $8, Chris, that's definitely one area to be watching. I think that could be high value and provide a really nice type of setup for a bigger move and for continuation, looking for all-time highs and blue skies up there. So 1024 smaller time frame level is really the last level that I have on this chart, which is a newer, looks like a newer chart as well. If I go to the monthly candlesticks here, it's been out for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months. So it hasn't been out very long, has it? So VCIG, yes, it is definitely one to watch, but the only issue is that we're creating a lot of bags with this previous price action, and therefore it may create a bumpy ride. So definitely come in with either a smaller size, maybe a less aggressive type of order, maybe buy into it, buy into your position, or, whatever you really are comfortable with. Obviously, stick to the strategy that keeps you profitable, and that's what I'll do as well. So for me, it's just clean confirmation. Close above a key level, it's bullish. Close back below, well, that's it. I got a bail on the trade. I can't overstay my welcome. So that's what I'm seeing on VCIG, Chris. GDTC. Let me pull off the scans or the chart here. You guys take a look at the scans here for a minute. Let me go over, let me mark up GDTC. So GDTC, is I got that right? Yeah. All right. So let's see. This is a 4 million share float. And what was VCIG, by the way? What was the float size on that one, Chris? 1.8 million share float according to TradingView. So that's a pretty good float. A nice low float size, which I do like. You know that. So marking GDTC for our team, our YouTube team today. Appreciate you guys joining. It's been a nice weekend. Nice to finish it up here. Get ready for tomorrow. Get the scans up and active, and get some of these charts and levels out for our team, and really just get prepared, guys. Preparation is key, of course. If you've been trading for a while, I'm sure you already know that, but we're looking to be prepared. That way when we come to work on Monday morning, we're not scrambling around with our, like a chicken with its head cut off. Let's see what we've got here. GDTC, we've got levels at 480. This is not a bad looking chart. Benny, did we go over this one? I think we went over this one recently, but maybe not. But GDTC, we can see we've got, if I zoom out to the left-hand side, we've got some recent bags, which is an issue. I'll give you 1 second. All right, we've got levels GDTC. We've got 444 as a key level. We've got 480 above that. We've got 575. We've got 545. The issue with this chart is same as VCIG. We've got recent bags over here to the left-hand side. So they're going to create some choppy price action. But that being said, they don't hold a lot of weight. We've got a lot of purple levels, right? So, to be honest with you, for looking for a lucrative trade, of course, it's volume pending, because we can see in this last trade day, Benny, we had 100 shares on that candle, 183 shares on that candle. So I'll tell you, this is very, very little volume. And so therefore this would be a major red flag for myself. And I'd have to probably avoid trading this one altogether. And really just because, my thought process here is, if I want to go in with 10,000 shares or greater, which is, sometimes a small size depending on your account, we're talking 100 shares, a couple hundred shares traded every minute. It just doesn't have that liquidity that we look for to really be aggressive. And so, I'm not sure that this one's going to fit my my risk profile, especially on a Monday. So going into Monday, I'm going to be a little bit more selective than usual, because I just want to make sure that I don't screw things up in the beginning of the week and then start digging myself a hole and go from there. So I want to stay focused, especially on a Monday, or especially on my first few trades of the week anyways. So this one looks like it's a 4 million share flow. I like that. Risky plays on this one. We're looking at a close over 428, 438, 444, and of course 450. Mark that level if you don't have that down and you can't memorize it. 450, $0.50, of course, and then we've got 480 above that, and $5. The whole dollar level is right about here. Once we get above the 480, we start to really open up a little bit. And then once we get above 575 and of course $6 mental level, then we really open up from there. So we could get, again, just same as VCIG. If we start to get moving in the right direction, this is definitely one to watch. So what I would do, Benny, is just go ahead and just set some alerts on this one. I know you said you may be in this one, but if you're not in this one, you're looking to possibly day trade it, which is typically what I'm doing myself. I would just set alerts at these key levels or just below. And every close above a level is bullish and telling me that it's now bullish to the next level. If it closes back below, then it's bearish. But I'll tell you again, major red flag here, this volume. I cannot trade this, unfortunately, until we get more volume involved here. So I need a lot more volume first to see here. We had 50,000 shares traded total on Friday, 50,000 shares. So I need to see a lot more. I need to see more like 50,000 shares in every minute for me to get excited behind these type of trades. But That being said, it's definitely one to watch. What I do like about this one, Benny, I like the float size. I like that it's got these large gaps. I like that a lot. You know, I like big gaps, and I cannot lie, guys. I'll tell you. But the truth is that without volume, it means nothing to me. So I have to be very strict to the strategy. Otherwise, I've gotten myself into trouble before. So for me to stay consistent, I just want to make sure that I look for that high volume to add with it. Hey, Nate. Nice, Natty. Laundry, cooking, and Bob time. I appreciate it, Natty. Hope you and your family are having a great weekend. I'm going to send some pictures in Discord later of my little man fishing today. It was so cute. It was his first time fishing. He's 9. He's a little old. He should have been, I guess, fishing before that, but better late than never. So let's see. Nate, no worries. I appreciate you getting in here. And no worry, yeah, we're just going over some charts here. AGBA, you got it. Let me pull it across and go over. So again, these scans that you guys are seeing here, these are trade idea scans. We've got a number of scanners that are really selective, looking for opportunity in the market. But I'm going to go ahead and mark up AGBA. So let me do that. And again, it takes 1 to 5 minutes. 1 to 5 minutes to mark these charts. And I'm telling you, it is well worth the effort. And if you're looking to mark charts the same way I do, we do have tutorial guides to do so. If you have the confirmation strategy guide, then you do have full access already to those tutorials, and you have full access to the chapters on how I mark these charts. But really, guys, just, you know, if you're marking levels, it's pretty obvious. We're looking for support. We're looking for resistance. More so resistance if you're trading my strategy, the confirmation strategy. And that's because, again, we're looking for looking for higher quality setups, of course. So AGBA, we've got, let's see, a lot of levels on this one, Nate. We've got a lot of levels. So that's my first thought here. First thought here is that, number one, it's a cheaper price. 2, it's got a high float, 63 million share float, so it's definitely outside the prime time float size that we look for, right? And we've got a cluster of resistance. So if I look at this chart, it's very easy to see that we have a complete cluster of resistance here. So again, what that tells me is I just anticipate some very choppy price action in here on this cluster of resistance because of all of these levels. So if we just zoom out on the chart, we can see on the left-hand side, same thing. We're going to see some bags, right? We're going to see those bags in here. And so, you know, we could bust right through those levels, and that's what I want to see. I would really love to see this thing break up here and continue its way up over the 164. That looks like probably the more lucrative gap than most of these. But if we're looking for an earlier and, again, higher risk type of entry and confirmation, we're looking for a close over 127 and 128. So if we get over 127 and 128, that's where we want to see it then hold. If it closes back below, that is bearish, and that is our signal to bail. But if it can close over 128, we're looking at 133 as a possible target, 140. 142. So these are 2 major weighted levels. So that will hold a lot of weight as resistance. So a good area to possibly scale out. And so if we're going from our lotto here to hold from level to level, we're looking at about 10%. And then, of course, a close over 142 would be bullish to 145, 147, 150, 151, 152. And you can see my levels are pretty congested here. So, and I'll add this one to the Discord as well. But you can see if I scroll all the way up here, a lot of levels, a lot of congestion. So I want to be careful trading something like this. Now, if we look at the volume on this move, because it did make a pretty nice move here in the post market, it looks like. If we look at the volume when it did that, we're looking at, let's see, 25,000 shares, 30,000 shares. That's not bad. That really isn't bad, Nate. That's actually pretty good volume for post-market. Of course, in the regular market session, we want to see more than that. But in the pre-market and aftermarket, that's pretty good volume. That's not bad. We can see that once we got into this zone here, it became to be very choppy. And again, I think that has a lot to do with these levels. So I think that a close over the 127, 128 level is prime time, Nate. That's what we're looking for. So if you're looking to get an early entry, of course, we do know it's going to be higher risk. That would be our area right there. Let me put a price label on it so you can see. Right around there, right around that 128. That would be our early riskier type of entry, right? And this, of course, is a cheapo. So the conditions that are not being met here is going to be that we have a higher float. So it's outside of the typical float size that we prefer. The price is cheap. It's under $2. So that means, again, it's going to knock the quality down just a little bit. Doesn't mean it won't continue, just means it may be choppier. And then we have these cluster of resistance above, which tells me that there isn't a whole lot of potential to growth in this type of name. But that being said, we've seen plenty of times where it just blows through these levels. The thing about it, though, Nate, and for everyone out there that's trading, if you have been trading for a while, what you will understand and probably relate to is, this thing could gap up and it could break through these levels. But when I see something like this, I know that the probability is less likely. Now, again, I've seen plenty of times where it does gap through these levels. I've been trading for years and we've seen it all. But that being said, my consistency and my profit does not come from trading these type of windows and gaps. My profit and consistency comes from trading levels that are going to provide me a higher probability setup. But that being said, that is what helps me. That's what works for me. That isn't what works for everyone. So again, find what works for you. So I'm just expressing, of course, my concerns here, but these are just concerns. The bottom line is confirmation works. And if you're looking for a confirmation here on this one, Nate, on AGBA, we're looking for a close over 128. Close over that level, it then needs to hold. If you see a close at 127 or 126 or 125 the next minute after, that's our room for concern. That's when we start to bail on the trade if we're in the position. And of course, we can always get back in over the 128. That's how I would approach this type of trade if I was looking for an early entry on AGBA. So the float size is a bit of a concern. I think I would probably sit this one out. The thing about the float size being higher, that means we need more volume to push that price needle up and down. That's number one. Number two, the fact that the price is cheaper. It's $1.28. Retail traders like you and I should be able to acquire 5, 10, 15,000 shares, if not more, without even blinking an eye. And because retail traders are able to buy so many shares because it's so cheap, then that means when I hover over each one of these candles, I shouldn't see candles that are 100 shares, 200 shares, 300 shares. We should see thousands of shares. And the reason for it is because it's a cheaper price. Retail traders can afford more shares. That's just the bottom line, right? And then, of course, the float is higher. So if we have a larger float like that, we need that volume to push that needle around. So that is a concern for myself on AGBA. Natty, Rito, you've got it. Rito, R-E-T-O. Let me pull that one over. I think this one, yeah, Natty, if you see, this one's on our continuation watch. So good call out there. Let's go over Rito, R-E-T-O. Rito, we got some information here. We've got the price, 348. Let's see. Yesterday's volume, or excuse me, Friday's volume was 1.8 million shares. Its 5-day average right now is about 4 million shares, so it was below its average, but that's okay. Its consecutive days, it was down 1 day in a row, and its float is a 4 million share float. I like that, Natty. You know that. And its volume on Friday was only 46%, so it was only half of this number. We know that because, again, we can do simple math. 1.8 million shares traded on Friday. 4 million shares on average in the last 5 days. So Rito from the continuation watch list here. And we've got some other names on this list for the continuation list as well. That may be some to watch as well. We've got that DRVN, we've got ASRT, and you can see some of the information here on each one of these. Some are going to be lower float, some are going to be larger float. It really depends on what you are looking for. So on this one, Natty, it looks like we've got levels on Rito as well. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this over. And on Rito, R-E-T-O, let's first go over that float, 4 million share float. Let's just fact check that. Over here, 4 million share float, so 4.16. And on TradingView, 4.156. So round up 4.16, right? So that is accurate. Rito, if I scroll out to the left-hand side, we can see that we hit a high over here, Natty, of Let's see the high here. We've got 362. 362 was the high on, what day is this? On last Thursday, I believe this is. So 362 was the high. So I have a level here, Natty, at 366. Let me go back to the right-hand side. In the post market, had very little volume. You can see those little specks, so that's a concern, of course. But if we're looking for bigger moves here, I would say we've got from white level to white level, close over 366 to $4 is about just under 10%. We're looking at about 9% on that one, Natty. So it's a 32-cent move. That's not bad. So if we can get a close over the 366, that would be our first level to start watching. So if we can get this close over 366, that's our first level of interest. And if we can close over that, that is bullish. Of course, we will then have to hold that level. As you know, confirmation is very strict. Close back below on a 1-minute chart. That's it. We bail on the trade, right? So we're looking for it to close over 366, then hold, scale out into 378, take a little bit of profit just to protect ourselves in case it goes against us. And of course, if it starts to reject, we want to make sure that we took some green on the trade. That way it doesn't go full red on us altogether. So 378 would be a good target area. Above that, we've got 395 and $4 even, which is going to be a major weighted level combined with a whole dollar test as well. Close over 410, we start to open up a little bit. And I have to say that this gap up here is a pretty attractive gap. A 14% gap from the $4 to 460 with, of course, 450 and these smaller time frame levels in between. If I scroll up here, we've got above that, 460 to 475. Close back over 475, we're looking at $5, so a 25-cent move. Then we're looking at 530 as the major gap. So if we major, or if we weigh out that major gap there, we're looking at, again, about 10, 11%. So not bad. Scroll up, 557 to $6. Again, very lucrative gap there, 7%. Yeah, it's not crazy, but it's not bad either with that low float, 4 million share float. Only thing we need here, Natty, is going to be that volume. So if we get that volume, we are good to go. This is, of course, continuation, as you know, because it did gap up in Friday's session. So this would be continuation. This would not be, and when I say that it's continuation, what that means is a couple things. Number one, we're not first to that stock. We're not first to the news. We're not first to the move. So in other words, this has been known. There's buyers in here that are looking to possibly sell as they are already in the profit. If anyone's holding from down here, they're already in the green. And so they could sell at any moment and create that choppy price action. But what we're looking for typically on continuation moves is for it to continue higher and greater and close over its key level above. So whatever level it tested up to, which if we zoom out, it hit all the way up to 362. So 366 is that gap. I'd like to see it close over the 366. Now, an early entry, an early higher risk type of entry here on this one, Natty, would be the 350 level. Of course, that's our mental $half level. Now, you know, Natty, you've been trading with me for a while now, that I do prefer trading around the whole dollar level more so than the $half. So I'd be a little bit more aggressive. So say on a whole dollar move, I would do a 5,000 share order. Well, then maybe on a $half move, I'm a little bit more reserved. I only do a 2,500 share order. So, I adjust my approach based on these type of conditions. Being that it's a $half level, just a mental level and just a mental $half level, it just holds some weight in my mind, just not enough for me to be overly aggressive. So I would want to wait until it gets up to the 366 to be a little bit more aggressive. That being said, it has very little volume. If we go over the chart here, we can see that the bulk of that move on Friday was with very, very little volume. So if we pull over the chart here, or the news, I'll check it out real quick. That was on Rito. Let's see what was the news on this one recently. You can see that it does have some news. This is from August 4th, actually. So it's been a while since it's had anything recent. Let me zoom out. So August 4th, I'm guessing, is over here. Yes, of course it is. So August 4th, this is when the news came out. It has been continuing ever since. So yes, we are looking for continuation, but this is not exactly bullish momentum until it gets a little bit more volume, close and gaps over our key levels of 366 and 378. So it's definitely one to watch, but I'm not sure it's going to give us the type of move that we're looking for in that. But we'll definitely set some alerts. I'll set up some alerts from for our team as well. So taking a look in chat, guys, reading through some of these comments here. I appreciate you guys taking the time this evening with me. It is 7:23 p.m. Eastern time. I've got to get our scanners up here shortly and take a look at a few things. I wanted to see actually if we had any swing trades available as well. So let me see if we have them. No swing trades. Interesting. I'm surprised. We have not had a swing trade on that scan in a while. Last one was on TO and it already went up and hit targets above. Let's see. We've got close WLGS. You got it. Let me see, Dan. So WLGS. I'm going to mark this one. And if anyone's in Discord and you guys want me to add any one of these charts into our Discord Mark Charts channel, just put it in chat and I'll make sure to do so if I haven't already. So going over WLGS, gonna mark this chart real quick for our team, our YouTube team today, our YouTube Trader Talk, guys. I'm gonna do this each week. I plan on doing this each week with you guys. I just want to. We'll hang out, go over charts, go over levels. It's just one way I can, provide value. There's a lot of BS in the market, guys. I'm trying to eliminate that a little bit. There's a lot of BS. There's a lot of talkers. My dad always said the loudest person in the room is not the smartest person in the room. It's usually the quietest person. And we've got talkers left and right, so be careful with that. Let's see. WLGS. Got levels coming out here in just a minute. Yeah, my goal is to add value as much as possible. Again, what works for me doesn't mean it's going to work for everyone. That's the whole idea here. I want to be transparent with everyone that, again, what works for me is what works for me. It doesn't mean that it's the only way. It doesn't mean it's the right way. It just means that I found success trading this way, and that's what I'm going to express to others as well. So WLGS, I think I'm good with this on this chart. So let's take a look at these levels. So reset the chart, take a dive into it. We've got a high of 128. Again, another one that looks like it was gapping up. One second. It looks like this one was gapping up. It had very little volume, moved up in the post market on Friday. Let's take a look at what the news was on this one. This is on Benzinga. So WLGS, we've got news on the 7th was the last news that I see. So if you guys have any news on these, put them in chat as well, because I'm not seeing anything right now that's standing out, but we can see that obviously it had a pop, but very little volume until it didn't. So it went from 1,000 shares to 3,000 or 300,000 shares, excuse me. All right, so again, first glance at this one, here's a few things that I see that I'm not in love with. Number one, there is no float listed on TradingView. So that is a bit of a concern. Let me see if there's anything on Trade Ideas. So we'll open up a single stock window. Let's check Trade Ideas for this one. So WLGS, just want to see if they have the float listed, because if they don't have the float listed, and no, they don't. So this is a bit of a pain in the neck from Trade Ideas. Is if the float is not listed yet, then it's not going to hit your scanners if you have a low float scanner. So if your scanner is filtered to the float size, like a lot of ours are in chat, then you're going to see that this one will not be coming across because there is no float listed. So it's not listed here. That is an issue. The issue that I see with that is that it's not going to be hitting everyone's scanners. So oftentimes what we're trading is stocks with high volume and what's the trendy stock. Typically what's trending is going to be stocks that are hitting everyone's scanners. We want them to hit everyone's scanners. And that's just because what we're looking for is everyone's eyes on that stock at the same time, everyone thinking the same thing, and everyone trading it, right? That's what we want to see. So when we see that it's not listed, and because of the float size, you can see over here, this little dash, then that is, number one, that's a concern. That doesn't mean it's not tradable. Of course, we could pull up other resources. Let's see if I go to floatchecker.com, is that it? Yeah. So let me check on this site here. So we go WLGS and we'll just kind of cross compare. We'll see what Benzinga has listed for it as well. So Yahoo Finance, 2.4 million. So low float, yes. Low float, yes. Low float, low float. So pretty much across the board, it's telling us that most of these other brokerage companies have this listed, or websites have this listed as a low float. So therefore, we mark it as a low float, we trade it as a low float, but the fact that the float is not listed is a bit of a concern, and therefore we need to set alerts. Otherwise, we will not be notified on this one unless we have a scanner that's not filtered by that float size. So what I'm seeing here, and again, the concern is we have a massive cluster of resistance. Right? So we have a massive cluster of resistance here. That is a concern. Again, it is a cheapo, does not mean it won't get through that level of resistance. But what that tells me is we can anticipate some choppy price action. There's some recent bags, and if I scroll left, you can see those recent bags that are creating a basically a choppy chart and a choppy atmosphere when it comes to our trading. So that is a concern, and that is something that I want to be concerned with. That is something I want to be aware of, because the problem is that, you know, we could see that it's gapping up, and then we'll have a nasty 15% candle knife, you know, a negative candle. I don't want to get caught in that. And I have been caught in it plenty of times in the past. And the way I avoid getting caught in those type of trades and those moves is looking for this cluster of resistance. This means that, yes, I can still take the trade, but no, I don't want to throw the kitchen sink at this. Maybe I want to adjust my approach because of these conditions. And therefore, yes, it's true confirmation if it closes over 128. So that is the level that we're looking for. So if I go ahead and spot this here, put that just like that, put a price label on for you guys so you can see a little bit easier. 128 is the key level. That is the level we're looking for this to close over. Close over 128. We're looking for it to then hold 128. Close back below. That's it. We bail, right? That's it. That's confirmation. So looking for a clean close over 128. Scale out and target profit area would be at the next resistance level, which is about 12% up at 144. We've got 144 and 145. That would be a target area and resistance. So a good area to possibly take some profit, protect ourselves in case an event of a 15% negative candle may occur. So we want to be careful of that. So WLGS is one to watch for sure. It is a cheapo. It has a cluster of resistance. The float is not listed, so make sure you set your alerts, because this will not be notified on a bulk of trader scans, and that's because the float is not listed. Now let's check with Benzinga actually. So let me check with old Benzinga. Let's see. WLGS, we're already on this one. So go over to the key data, and you can see that the float size is listed on Benzinga. 7 million share float, right? So we can cross compare that with all of these other float sizes that we've seen, and we can verify that according to all of these sources, yes, this is a low float, and therefore we want to treat it as such. And so therefore we can trade confirmation on it. So we're looking for a clean close over resistance paired with volume. And of course, if we look at this move that it made in the post market, although this move was pretty strong into into the post market here, once we got into that post market, it had a 11% nasty candle. So this candle here was 11% negative. And then we had some specks of volume over here, only 150 shares on that candle there, 8,000 shares, 500 shares, very little volume and very little liquidity. And so therefore I want to be careful knowing these conditions: low volume, cluster of resistance, cheaper price, no float listed. You know, weigh out your pros and cons, weigh out which trade is going to be higher quality than the next. Now, that again is not to say that WLGS is not going to shoot through these levels, continue up, and get cooking in the right direction. That's not saying that. What I'm saying here is that I probably will not find my home run hit on this type of chart and trade, but I may be able to scalp smaller size and smaller levels and hold that small lotto and looking for a continuation type of move, right? So we can hold that lotto after we're already in the green, taking profit and protecting ourselves accordingly. So that is WLGS. Yeah, that's got to be why. Yep, that's got to be why. I think it's just because it wasn't listed, so the float wasn't listed. So guys, if you're wondering, I'm in chat as well. So let me say hey to everyone here. If you guys are in chat, Let me see it. EDBL, yeah, of course. I'll go over EDBL. EDBL was a good one, actually, last week, wasn't it? Let's see. Do I have a chart on it yet? I should have one. Let's just keep it on this one, I guess. If you guys are in chat, let me see some thumbs up. Let me see some emojis, guys. Let me see some life. What you guys doing out there on this Sunday evening? We've got it 7:30 in the afternoon, or in the evening here. Let's see. So we've got some levels. I want to get rid of these levels because we've already gapped above them, it looks like. So some of these levels will hold very little weight. And again, I'm not looking for support bounce type of trades. So I'm going to delete these levels below, as I don't care as much for those. I think that's pretty good, right? All right, now let's see. We've got levels in here. I want to delete as well. All right. I think that's pretty good. All right. So this is what I'm seeing with EDBL. Let me just check the 1 hour real quick. Yeah, the 1 hour looks a little looks like it's ready for a bounce, doesn't it? But we'll see what we see on the 1 minute chart. All right. So 1 minute chart, scroll out. What do we see? First problem is those bags, which is kind of the theme of some of these tickers right now that we've been going over. There is recent bags, and so therefore that creates a cluster of resistance. So this is a big concern for me, as I am looking for higher probability to stay consistent in my own trading. We can see a cluster of resistance all through these levels. If I zoom out even further, I believe, do we go higher than that? Yes, we do over here. So this is a concern, very much so a concern. So yes, we could look for a possible move here on EDBL, but is this going to be high quality? I'm not sure that's the case. And that's because this one had already gapped up to levels well above the current price action now. We're talking right now, it's at 137. So earlier risky type of entry, we were looking for a close over 145, and of course 150 being the $half mental level, to then hold those levels and continue its way up. But that being said, the problem with these gaps filling is the probability is less likely, and therefore I can't repeat this enough, I do not throw the kitchen sink at this type of setup, as this is lower probability and higher risk. The higher probability setups are going to be these type of setups over here, where we're closing above levels that we have not closed above yet. The fact that we've closed above this level and fell back down, technically speaking, the key level that we need to close over is going to be 236. I've got some duplicates on my chart you can see here, but 236 would be that key level. Let me fix that one. So 236 is the key level, 239, that gap right there, that's what we need to see it close over to really tell us that it's now becoming a little bit more on the bullish side. 250 then, of course, is the $half mental level, 260, 276, 281. I've got duplicates all over my chart right now. I've got to clean that up a little bit. Major levels down here, these white solid lines are those major weighted levels. So we got 145, 158, 160, 168. So, you know, I'm not sure about EDBL. Again, it really depends if it breaks through these levels, but it will not be really, tradable in an aggressive type of manner for myself until we start to gap up into newer gaps and newer levels that have not been tested yet before, as this is now creating those recent bags, which is a concern for myself. That's EDBL. That's what I'm seeing on that one, Sad. So, guys, I don't think that there is a whole lot more to go over. We've got the watch list out for this week. Let's see what we have on the watch list. We've got, let's see, GNS, TSAT, ETON is one to watch as well, possibly. We've got down here continuation watch, some of these names, and most of these come from our scanners at the end of the day. So if you guys check out the watch list down here, if I minimize this toolbar here, you'll see that this is our end of day scans. So every day I post this in the chat as well. I take a screenshot of this and add this to our Discord and the end of day scan channel. It's in our premium extras channel. So you can see that we've got some 52-week low floaters to watch. We've got KWE. which is a 3 million share float, very little volume, only 5,000 shares. So when you pull up these charts, the main concern is going to be that they have no volume. And of course, my number one personal rule is no volume, no trade. And another concern, you can see the price, very cheap, but that's not a huge concern because, of course, if we start gapping up, the price will go up as well. But KWE, CNET, a couple 52-week low floaters to watch. We've got some oversold names down here, YGF and OTMO. Same idea, guys. Low volume, very low volume. That is one of the major concerns of both of these scans. We're looking at low volume type of moves. We're basically looking for something that, if it starts to move in the right direction, has other factors with it that may create that type of, that high quality type of trade that we're looking for. So definitely a couple to watch there. We've got high short interest names here. The high short interest scanner, PLSE, RDIB, and HPK. We can see that these ones are high short float interest here. So definitely a couple to watch, PLSE, RDIB, and HPK. We've got some micro float names to watch. I don't watch these as much, guys. I personally don't care for micro floats as much. I really prefer a float to be over a million share float. I know that's probably an unpopular opinion, but I just prefer to have a lower float, but not quite a micro float myself. But these are some micro names to watch here. We can see that we've got over here, we've got trendy volume and not so trendy volume. So we've got stocks that are both on both sides should have high volume. Over here, we've got GNS, 60 million share float, and TSAT has a 23 million share float. So depending on where they are that day, these are different scans for that. Gap up scanner, these were the stocks that were gapping up on Friday. Let me just verify the time. Let's bump this up to, well, let's go to 7:25 p.m. on Friday. We can see we really didn't have much gapping up, did we? So we don't have any volume on Friday, which is typical. FTCI, maybe that's one to look at as well. Let me pull that up. So let me go ahead and do a quick rundown on FTCI before you guys take off on me, before we get prepared here for our Monday morning pre-market session. So let's go over FTCI. Check what we've got for levels on this one. Anyone watching this one? You guys watching FTCI? If you guys have any watch list names that you want to throw into chat, any predictions, go ahead and throw them in now. We've got the week getting started. And make sure, if you haven't already, to mark your charts because, again, it's a lot better to do it here in the aftermarket or before the market starts instead of when the market actually opens up. So I've got levels coming out on FTCI in just a moment. For our YouTube team, appreciate you guys joining today. And again, this is going to be a weekly segment. It's just going to be called Trader Talk. It's a casual session, nothing crazy. We're going to sit together, go over some charts. You guys, please throw in some charts for me to go over. Ask some questions if you want, or just hang out with me and let's just chat some Trader Talk. That's what it is. It's just traders talking together. I plan on getting some other traders in here as well, doing a kind of a joint thing. We'll do a live stream and live scans and live view of us and all that good stuff. So stay tuned, guys. We'll have that soon. So I've got levels on FTCI here in just a minute. And it looks like it's not bad, but we'll see in a smaller time frame. All right, FTCI. Let's take a look deeper into this chart here. What do we have? What do we have on this chart to trade? We had a stock that was gapping up in the session on Friday. We can see as we go over each one of these candles, we can see the volume. Again, number one thing I want to check is that volume. Very little volume that was moving FTCI. I want to check the float over here, 45 million share float, and just verify that to our scans. 45 million share float, 42 showing here. So that's about accurate, right? So we know it's about a 40 million share float. We know that it's not under the 25 million share float that we love. And we know that if we scroll into the left-hand side, we can see these recent bags as well. So definitely a concern on FTCI. So a few things to be concerned with here, but might be one to check out and keep on watch. For me, looking at this chart quickly, first off, we want to see it close over 255 and 267. I would not be overly aggressive trading those type of levels, and the reason for it is because, of course, the gap has already filled. If we scroll to the left, you can see that gap already filled recently. So we're looking for a close over 267 to then hold. If it can hold, again, this would be a higher risk type of setup. We're looking at about a 16-17% move to $3.14, of course, with the $3 level in between. So if we were looking at around $3, we'd be looking right around here at 11%. That's not a bad gap, but the problem is that this 267 level is made with a smaller time frame level or chart, and therefore holds less weight. So yes, it is the level to watch. Yes, I want to see it over this 255 and 267, but is it A plus? Not so much. And the reason for it is we've got a 45 million share float, which is a little bit higher float than I prefer. We've got recent bags over here on the left-hand side. We do have that lack of volume and liquidity that we're looking for. So if we get the volume, that's number one. If we can get the close over a resistance level, that'd be number two. And of course, from there, it depends on the other factors and what you're willing to trade. So for me, looking at this one, it may not be something that I'm overly concerned with, but it's definitely one to possibly watch. Guys, I think that's about it. Let me check the chat real quick. Can you explain the watch list briefly, which you post in Benzinga chat? Yeah, of course, said. So let's go over that watch list. So if you have Benzinga, everyone who's joining in from Benzinga, if you go to the low float channel, you'll see that I have a watch list that I put in here. Have I put it in here yet? It doesn't look like I have it in Benzinga yet. So if typically when I put the watch list in here, you'll see it in Benzinga. But this is our Discord here. I post the watch list just trying to add value, really sad, to you know, different traders out there. What I'm doing is taking from these screens or these scans, I'm taking information that I have on these scanners, and I'm basically compiling a watch list based on this information. So each one of these scanners tells me a little bit of different information about these tickers, and of course the market in general. So these, again, these are 52-week low floaters. So what this is looking for, this scanner is looking for stocks that are hitting 52-week lows that are also low float, or they're near the low or 52-week lows. So in other words, they're just banged up, right? They're stocks that have just been dropping for a while. They're low float stocks. You know, they haven't really had any attention, and so therefore they could really provide a big move if volume started to arrive. But of course, no volume, no trade. But you can see the early bird watch. What that is for our crew here in Discord. We've got an early bird crew at 4 a.m. Eastern time. Early on, we've got traders in chat. Immediately, we've got our day trading chat over here. And you'll see that we've got traders that are in chat early on in the morning that are going over key levels, going over trade ideas, and just helping each other out, really. So if we go to the watch list, that early bird watch has just been added for that crew. So it's really typically stocks that have been gapping up the night before. So if we look at our gap up list, they're usually going to come off of this list here. But if we don't have a lot of volume, in which we don't have a lot of volume here in the post market, then we will pull from our continuation watch as we're looking for these names to possibly continue as well. So the early bird watch is exactly that. It's really for the 4 a.m. traders on. So then I usually get in here about anywhere between roughly 5:36 to about 7:30 is when I go live in voice. So that's when I'm typically watching for trades myself. Trendy tickers are going to be stocks that were trending the day before. So stocks that are not fresh, they're not new, they've got a lot of volume, and they're really trending. Whether it be up or down is not exactly important to this scan or to this list. What it is more so is, where is that volume? Where was the volume yesterday, and what names was that volume on? 52-week low floaters, you know what that is. We just went over that. Those are stocks that are near or at 52-week lows. And of course, those are low floaters, low float stocks to watch. Oversold ideas. These are stocks that are basically just beaten up and oversold. So YGF is one of those. Let me pull up the chart here. So if I go to here, turn this off, go to, what was it, YGF? So if I go to YGF, we go to say a monthly chart. we take a look at this, it's beaten up, right? It's been gapping down. It's not really doing too well for itself. So it may be on the oversold watch. So you may want to watch that. So if I look at the, if you even look at the RSI here, you can see it's pretty low on the RSI. Not as low as it's ever been if it's been low over here, but it is pretty low, and therefore it's becoming oversold and maybe something to watch going forward. That being said, until it starts closing and confirming over key levels, for my strategy, it won't be tradable until we get over resistance levels. So, YGF is one to possibly watch for an oversold watch, but you can see here these specs, no volume. So what we're looking for is we're putting it on a watch list, we're keeping an eye on it, and we're looking for it to possibly pop in the right direction, in which case it will be tradable, and we will be aware that this is a 52-week or an oversold watch idea, and therefore that may give it a little bit more oomph for when it's trading in the right direction. Same with OTMO. Down here, high short interest names. These are going to be stocks that are highly shorted, and so therefore they could have a short squeeze. And so a lot of the stocks that squeeze, the last one that was on this list that really did well was CVNA. CVNA was on this list for a few weeks. It started to squeeze, and when it did, it really squeezed. It wasn't a small squeeze. It was a very large squeeze on that one. So these are stocks that are just, again, very high short interest there. In the middle here, end of day, final 15-minute. If we look at the watch list there, you'll see some of these names sometimes will come across the trendy ticker list or in the early bird watch. Let's see, we've got the short squeeze watch, and I think that's it. So I think that's kind of explains that watch list hopefully a bit better. Yeah, anytime, son. All right, Chris, I'm going to take a look at that IZM, and then I'm going to shut it down, guys. I'm going to take a break. It's about 8 o'clock now. Time for me to go visit with the family, the kids, before they go to bed. So let me go ahead and pull up, what is it, IZM we're looking at? All right, IZM. This is what's the float size on this one? 6 million share float. I like that. I like that about it. This is at all-time highs. So if I pull this stock up here, what you'll see, Chris, is that this is at all-time highs. If I go to the monthly chart, you can see all-time highs. Whenever it's all-time highs like this, it's going. We're not going to have any levels to trade, right? We're not going to find any resistance levels on this, and so in which case we're going to look for half and whole dollar only. So if we're looking at trading something like this, we would literally be looking at just half and whole dollar. So to keep it simple, 1136 was the high here in the post market. We want to see it close over 1150, then hold. $12, hold. 1250, hold. 13, hold, right? So all the way up, just half and whole dollar. I would scale out. I prefer to trade around the whole dollar levels and scale out into the half dollar levels, but IZM is going to be setting up as an all-time high, in which case we don't have any key levels to trade. It's going to be half and whole dollar. And I think, is that the right one? Do I have the right one there, Chris? I think I do. So guys, I think that's about it. I appreciate everyone's joining today's Trader Talk session. I'm going to be doing this every week. We'll get more comfortable with it as time goes on. This is new. This is the second week that we've been doing this. Last week, we went over how to mitigate risk based on conditions. This week, we just pulled up the watch list, went over some key levels. I want to keep this session casual. The idea here is to just hang out, guys. If you have any questions, you want to get better at your own trading, you want to get better at marking charts, you want to get better at whatever it is, that's what we're here for. We're working together, we're helping each other out, and we're becoming better together. So I'm trying to add value wherever I can for free. This is not paid. Obviously, we used to do paid sessions. We used to do live sessions in chat. This is a free session. I would like to continue that. All I ask is if you guys found any value in these sessions, please thumbs it up. And definitely share it with other members if you can. So guys, I appreciate your time. I hope everyone has a great night. I hope you had a great weekend, and really appreciate you guys joining me this Sunday session, this Trader Talk. that's it for me. We went over a watch list, key levels to watch. GNS, I think, is definitely one that I'll be keeping an eye on for that continuation type of move early tomorrow morning. But we'll see what's on the scanners. You know, we've got these setups here, but you know, truth be told, is we do have the watch list. But when I come into work every morning, I let the scanners do the work. I've spent a lot of time on these scans, and if I go over, you guys will see. Let me see if I can change the. There we go. So you can see all these scanners that we have here. I've spent a lot of time on these scans, and I'm going to continue to spend even more time on these scans. These scanners are my radar on how I found or how I find value in this market. So they do the heavy lifting, guys. They let me know where the value is in the market. My job is to pull up that chart, mark the levels of interest, look for a clean confirmation, and stay strict to my strategy. That's been keeping me consistently profitable. That's the confirmation strategy. And if you guys want to learn more about that, we of course go over every day live in voice in our Discord. And we also have the confirmation strategy guide available for anyone who's looking to learn more. So guys, I appreciate your time. I hope everyone has a great weekend. I hope we added value today. I hope we got some nice charts out there, and hopefully we get some nice moves in the right direction. So thanks, guys. I will see you in the pre-market session.